All right. Well, Brendan Dillman, welcome to the podcast.
Daniel Winge-Mihai, thank you for letting me on the podcast.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Excited and nervous to have you on.
Also the same. I'm not going to say anything that's going to get you removed from YouTube, so we can stay safe with that. Some of the stories might get a little censored.
That's fine. No, I want to learn more about you. And I think you're an interesting case because you're different than other people I've had on this podcast, in the sense that a lot of the people I've had on so far come from, like myself, very stable households, a long, college education, professional career, and you kind of deviated from both of those paths, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah, I very much so have had that deviation. Didn't go to college. I just went straight into making a company, and then ended up failing at that. But it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And now I have tons of stories to tell because of it.
Yeah. So at a very high level, can you kind of walk through what that company was that you did start, what that looked like, why you decided to go that route?
So it was a building management company, and I got my start because when I was 20, my dad had some issues with a building that he owned. The cleaning company was overcharging him and stuff and causing problems. So he fired them and said, I can do it myself. And since I didn't have a job at the time, he said, you're actually going to do it. So I went and I cleaned office buildings for probably a couple months, got in touch with his management company, talked to them a lot, found out that they were actually overcharging him for stuff. They were doing stuff like hiring out the most expensive handymen that they could every time that something needed fixed, so that they would get more of a percentage whenever they got it fixed, stuff like that. And so same deal. I don't need you. I can do all of this myself. And then had his son do it. And then I was like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. And I got good at fixing things and at managing tenants, stuff like that, and branched out, got some residential houses to manage, not to own. I didn't own any houses at any time. That's still a dream. But yeah, I did that for quite a while, but never ended up making the money that I was looking to make. Spent like a good 4 years at it, but I was still making around like the $40,000 mark at the most. So I figured I had to go somewhere else.
How many clients did you have? How many households did you manage?
At the most, we probably managed around 60 houses, 60 to 65. And then the office buildings eventually got sold. So I didn't manage those anymore. I was solely residential at the time. We had around 60.
Okay. And so it started with you doing cleaning initially. Then it sounds like you did maintenance. And then just kind of getting more and more things to do as it went on.
There was more stuff for me to handle. So there was more stuff for me to do, more stuff to spend my time on, and eventually it just became like, hey, I am pretty good at this. Let me branch out. And the branching out turned out to do well enough when it comes to getting clients and managing and doing well at my job. But what was the issue was me not charging everybody enough money. So since I was the one who was doing all the handyman work, I'd just be like, just charge me for the material. I'll go do it all. It doesn't matter. But like those little things are where a lot of people get all of their money in management companies. It's not just flat rate to manage the house. So I ended up not making enough and had to end up going to other careers.
That's interesting because I hear 60, 65 houses. I think that I haven't actually ran numbers through my head, but at 60, 65 houses, that sounds like it should be enough to make more than $40,000 a year. Yeah,
the problem with stuff like I'm spending too much on getting new tools and stuff like that. Because whenever you build a company, you need to have like a whole big nest egg to be able to pull from.
Yeah.
And me not having I didn't have a ton of money to start out with, so I was never able to grow. I'd spend money to make money, but I had no money to spend. So right. Everything I was making was going right back toward the company. And then it wasn't. It ended up being stagnant at a certain point.
Yeah. So when you were out cleaning and doing maintenance work and doing all this, what you were being paid to do.
Right.
Did you do it all yourself? Because 60, 65 houses sounds overwhelming.
So I had a revolving door of employees throughout. In construction, it's pretty difficult to find employees who are good at what they do and are reliable.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who kind of shift in and out, and they kind of like they'll miss a day and they'll never tell you and stuff like that. There was this one employee I had though. It was actually I was working on a house, and the house next to it, which was another house that I managed. The guy told me, I have a cousin who does this kind of stuff. He doesn't have a job right now. If you need some help renovating that house, he could probably help you. I'm like, yeah, I'll pay somebody for a couple hours of work every day. Like, get somebody in here to help me fix stuff up. Came to work for me. And the day after he got hired, like the day after his first day, he tells me, do you want to hear a story about how I stole from my last boss? I'm going to call him John because I don't want to say his real name. But John then tells me about the story about how he stole from his old boss. And his old boss was this super rich dude, like had a mansion, but didn't believe in banks, he said. So he just had a chest at his bed, like at the foot of his bed, full of cash. So John goes in and he does some work for the bathroom renovation. Sees this chest full of cash, but John's smart. He does not steal it that day. He has to come up with a plan. So he goes home, tells his boss he needs another day to work on the bathroom, wakes up the next morning, does a ton of cocaine, goes into his boss's house, straps the chest of money on his back, and runs out the front door.
The whole chest.
The whole chest. Tells me that 2 security guards were at this guy's house, just like were there. He got tased, and according to John, ran 3 football fields worth of length before he finally succumbed to, I don't know, drugs or maybe the taser prongs that were just flapping in the wind behind him as he ran. But then he went to prison for a while, got out, and he immediately got hired by me. Not only does he tell me this
On his first day.
yeah, on his second day, he tells me this. I'm like, why would you tell this to your new boss? Why would you do this at all? And why would you be telling people this right after you got out of prison? But he was confident in it. He's like, it's just what I did, and I like telling people that. And best employee I ever had. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. He would show up on time. Every once in a while, I'd have to like drive to his house to pick him up to go to a place because he'd be like, oh man, my motorcycle just can't run today because he just didn't have a car. He only had a motorcycle. And so it would be like the middle of winter and he'd show up on a motorcycle. How are you not like crashing on ice?
Yeah.
But he didn't care. I knew what he was doing, got all his work done. It's a shame to leave him. But I heard he went to the pagans after that, which motorcycle gang, not the religion.
Yeah, that's quite the story. And it's not the first time you've told me it, but it's just as good every time.
You get the finer details every time.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be something that you missed out on.
Like strapping the whole thing. I don't know why, but I was under the impression he just, snuck a little bit out.
Oh, no. He went for it. If you're going to do something that's going to get you arrested and put in jail for years, go big.
That's wild. So you dealt with tenants.
Yes.
I've heard horror stories about tenants. I've heard 1 or 2 from you, maybe, but I don't remember them.
You've probably heard one or 2 from me. Tenants I probably have to be a bit careful about because I don't want to be airing people's dirty laundry.
Sure. I mean, you could change names or not use names at all.
Right. Yeah, so people also probably have a lot of horror stories about landlords too. But mine's mostly tenants. I had this one guy who never heard anything from. He paid his bill on time every month, all that kind of stuff, never had any issues. Then one month we stopped getting money from him. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm sending him emails, give him calls, do all that kind of stuff. Tell him he has to pay right late. Go to his house. He's not home, like, at any point within the next, like, month. And so we filed and got it, like, yep, he's evicted from the house. The house is now mine. So I walk in, drill out the to get into the home, and it's just trashed. Like it was a drug den.
Oh, jeez.
And it was a nice house, and he was paying a good bit. And we ended up finding out that he had been in rehab for like months at this point, and is just auto paying his bills.
Oh,
But yeah, that house was horrible. We had to get the police involved. There were firearms they had to take away, paraphernalia, stuff like that. And it took like another 2 months of just cleaning to get everything up and out. Take out all of the carpet, take up flooring, get completely clean all of the walls, deep clean everything, make sure that there was nothing in any of the ceilings because it was all drop ceiling. So if something was stored up there and a new tenant moved in, that would have been a huge liability. So that house might be the worst to have gone through. We had another tenant who they actually probably are still living at the house, but I went in to do a repair for them once. It was their hot water tank went bad. And as soon as I walked in the door, it just reeked of every stench you could imagine. The people that were living in the house were not taking care of themselves. There was like a bed in the living room because the man who slept in that bed couldn't get upstairs. Not because of any disability, but just because of his size. And I ended up, like, I fixed their hot water tank and I left, and I'm like, I don't want to evict them because I don't want to deal with that house. And eventually, after my business was dissolved, a new management company took over, and I've heard talking from them recently. They tell me about tenants every once in a while. Like, luckily, it's all stuff like Brendan would have had this solved a long time ago and stuff like that. But with those people, they never even knew me. As far as they knew, I was just the guy who came by and fixed the hot water tank once. But I'm waiting for somebody at that management company to tell me that they got evicted finally, and for them to have to go in and clean it, because that was a day that I was dreading, and now it'll never come.
At this time, like when you were like 20 to 22, how are you at confrontation?
When I first started my company, I had no like practice with being in confrontations, doing all that kind of stuff, but still being the owner of the business. Like, I was in a place where I could, like, the tenants weren't the people, were my customers. The owners of the house was my customer. So I was still bad at confrontation, but that was a really good place for me to get good at it, because people would call me and they'd be telling me about stuff and telling me, like, you're not fixing this fast enough, stuff like that. And I would be very apologetic, and I would be like, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to try to fix it. Like, I'll be there at this time. Let's try to find a time for you, that kind of stuff. And I still did that throughout everything. Like, if a tenant would talk to me and be like, I'm sorry, I'm just working constantly, but I really need this thing fixed. Like, yeah, I'll come by at 8 o'clock at night and I'll fix that thing for you. But if somebody calls me and they're like, you haven't gotten this done, I'm going to be like, you need to do it during office hours. I'm not coming by. I work from 6 to 5 every day. You can get any time within there. And they'd be like, that's not reasonable. And I'd be like, don't matter. But like, I eventually got really good at that kind of confrontation in a way of like an immovable object way of like, yep, that's the way it is. And you don't get to change it. And that's very much so how I became with confrontation, is very immovable object. Very, I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm not going to start yelling. This is the way it is, and I'm not going to change the way that I'm acting for you.
So that's what you did. And then you switched careers because that wasn't working out. What do you do now?
Now I'm in sales. Currently I'm selling mattresses. I'm hoping to get into either medical or IT
Okay.
to get more volume in. Mattresses is going really well right now, and I surprised myself with how well I can do in mattress sales. I thought that would be like, yeah, I'll stay with this for a month or two while I find something else, because I won't make much money. I'll be making like minimum wage. But surprisingly, even in the lowest sales, you can still do really well if you do really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably stick with mattresses for another couple of years. Buy a Spink & Co. mattress before I leave, because I need to take advantage of that deal that I get. And then try to find some place. I'm between medical and IT, because I know IT can get real easy. You can sell stuff like cloud hosting, stuff like that. and people have to pay consistently. They have to pay like yearly to get all that hosted, stuff like that. So you end up with not passive income, but income that you don't have to be struggling for.
Sure.
You can pretty much have like, I'm loyal to these people. I help them out all the time. They're loyal to me. Like they're always going to buy next year because I'm always going to be there for them. That kind of thing. But then in medical, I know I'd be better in that field because the reason why I got so good at selling beds is because I can talk about stuff like how their aches and pains affect them and what the causes of everything is, how we can start to improve their health and how these different features and how this kind of bed will help to improve that kind of health, those aches and pains when they wake up in the morning.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, I mean, you're not a health professional. Was this something the company trained you for? Or did you just do like research on your own to?
Oh, no. So huge self-improvement kick back in 2022, I think. And I just researched everything. I wanted to find out everything I could, every way that I could improve, every way that I could try to fix my body to make it better. Because around that time, I was around 130 pounds. And at 6'4", 6'3", 6'3". I don't need to lie about my height. Around 6'3", 130 pounds is dangerous. So I needed to figure out some kind of fix, and I learned every bit of health that I could find, learned everything that I could from people. And then now, as I'm more of a family-focused man, I'm also learning more about infant health, stuff like that. And with infant health, I'm starting to pick up on stuff that affects adults as well. And I just am very focused on health, so I know a lot, and I know the connections between everything.
You surprised yourself with how good you are at sales, you said. Why do you think that is? Or what makes you a good salesman?
I don't know. Every time that somebody asks me what makes me good at something, I always want to say grit and willpower. Because that's always just what I thought of myself. But honestly, in sales, it's really not the most important thing anymore. I think it's more so just the matter of, like, I want to help them find a solution. Like, people walk in and they give me problems, and I'm like, I'm excited to know that I can help you with that. Like, hey, I wake up in the morning and my lower back hurts. And I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about what mattress you have. And let's try to get you, like, I want to help to solve your problem. I want to help to get other people healthy too. And that's really something that I'm committed to. And that's something that I think just the passion for it is a lot of the reason why I do well in sales. Because people can see that passion.
Okay. So how much do you make now? Or I guess before we even get there, how long have you been in the mattress sales?
Since the end of April. But it took a month of training, and then I got into selling. So a couple months, give or take. But started out with, it was supposed to be like a $51,000 a year kind of thing. Working 51 hours a week. So it's not like crazy amounts of money. But then he wanted to change me to commission, the district manager, because I was selling enough mattresses. And he's like, I think you can do well on commission. And so I punched all the numbers, I did all the math, and came out to like, dude, only the top 3 people are actually making enough to make more on commission than they are on hourly. I'm not doing this. And he tells me, like, I'm going to put you in a different store. Try it out. See how you do. If you still want to stay on bonus, we'll put you back in the hourly store. And I'm like, okay. And I went to the commission store, and it was, now it's the top 4 people are able to make enough money. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll definitely stay commission. But yeah, that's just, there's not like a specific amount that I make, but I'm pretty much guaranteed to make more than like 60, which is certainly nice.
Yeah, that is really good for not having any student debt.
Yeah. And for like 2 months into the company.
Yeah, that too. What do your expenses look like?
Oh man, I broke them all down when you asked me, but now off the top of my head, it's a bit more difficult to think of. But like, I pay for the gym, I pay for dancing, all my food and housing. And then I'm like, all right, I don't need much else.
You rent, right? So you don't have a mortgage. Car payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Car payment and insurance is around $500 a month.
Okay. No student loans, right?
Nope.
Credit card debt?
I've never used credit cards. I've never felt a need to.
Sounds like expenses are relatively low. Are you putting money towards savings?
Oh yeah, like everything towards savings as much as I possibly can. I want to be able to put a lot down toward a mortgage. So a lot of it is just like money that I'm going to be able to pull out that I'm going to be able to use.
Okay. If you have a goal within like 5 years, right? Savings is a good place. A high yield savings account like SoFi Bank or Ally Bank offer like 4%. You just use them as a savings account and they just give you that money, just interest for them. So I have personal experience with SoFi, Ally Bank, and Discover Bank, all of which offer high yield savings accounts. Personally, I've stuck with Ally because I liked it the best. It's actually my main bank account now. But yeah, if you're just using a normal savings account, definitely recommend looking into one of those high yield savings accounts.
Okay.
Especially for, like I said, things that you want to like be putting it away for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, the goal is probably like 2. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For sure.
especially since I'm not spending a lot of money, like I don't have a lot of big expenses and I'm able to make a lot of sales money, it's probably going to be like 2 years to a mortgage.
That's kind of amazing.
It's pretty much just because I don't spend it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, cool. So, buying a house eventually. Any other big goals?
I mean, really, the big goal is a family. That's what everything else is kind of toward. So all my other goals are just to that one goal.
Yeah. How's that going?
It's look, I realize it takes time. I've always been very much so yeah, things aren't going fast enough for me. I'm just going to work harder kind of person, but it doesn't work that way for relationships. So I got to, yeah, I just got to really just focusing on friendship relationships instead, because that's something that I actually can focus on. Like, hey, I want to help out Dan, or I want to improve my relationship with Dan. I can go out and I can just do more stuff with you, or have more, like, we do D&D nights every week. Like, I do more stuff for that. I get really excited about that. But yeah, that's not the way it works with romantic relationships. And like, I'll admit I understand none of it.
Yeah, I don't think any of us understand any of it. It just kind of happens. I remember at least at one point in time, I don't know how you're feeling right now, but at one point in time, you would get frustrated when you would hear that, like, yeah, it'll happen when you stop looking.
Oh, believe me, that's still frustrating. But at some point, it's like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Because looking isn't working. So, and the whole like you just have to trust in God thing. Again, point of frustration, but I get that it's 100% true. Because a lot of things are like once I just trust in God, like it's almost kind of a test of like stop trying to do it yourself. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that definitely was the case with work too. I stopped trying to make a job that wasn't working happen. Stopped trying to make a company, and then found a job that I ended up actually being really good at.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens. It's like the more you strive to do something or attain something, the more difficult it is to actually grasp it. And like once you kind of let up and give up, it just kind of happens.
Yeah, I've more recently than not, like again within the last couple of years, started to develop the mindset of as long as I am putting the effort toward something happening, it's up to God if I'm putting toward all the effort that I can. Because it's either, yes, that's actually a thing that's good for you, you're going to have it, or no, this isn't a good thing for you, at least not right now. So we're going to wait. And it's like, well, as long as I know that I'm doing all I can, then I can just say like, all right, it's in his hands.
Yeah. That's a terrifying prospect, though. Like just not having control.
Yeah, it is. That's again what I strive for, but I certainly go more so along the lines of I'm just going to work harder then. I'm just going to do more.
Yeah. I caught myself. I was going to say, I feel like that's the way most men are wired. And I think there's some validity to that. But I think there's also something in our culture about just being extremely complacent.
Right. Complacency is dangerous.
Yeah. Which is more dangerous, being complacent or being overambitious? What do you think?
I would say that being overambitious is more dangerous, but it's also better.
Okay.
I would rather make an aggressive mistake than miss an opportunity because I didn't try. That's always actually that's what my dad told me while I was playing hockey. like within the recent years, because I played on a hockey team with him. He's very hardcore when it comes to hockey. So like if you mess up, he'll skate into your face and just start screaming at you. But it's like that's just the way he is. He's not actually going to kill me because I went past the blue line before the puck did. But he told me the one day, he's like, you have got to do more. I would so much rather you make an aggressive mistake than you miss a play because you didn't do anything. I believe he actually used the term F around, but that like stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's just everywhere. Like, I love that. Like, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can. And if I make a mistake, at least I tried.
Transitioning into health a little bit now. You said you were 130 pounds at 6'3".
Yes.
I'm 130 pounds at like 5'3". What was going on?
So, fun fact, if you eat only lean meat, you will starve to death on a full stomach. So one year, I had picked up hunting and got a whole bunch of lean meat. My dad was also hunting, so he was a big part of the reason why we had so much.
What kind of hunting?
Deer.
Okay.
So yeah, we just got like a freezer full of deer meat, and I decided that I was going to just eat that because I get to save money, and I'm trying to build a company, and I'm trying to get also go to school at the same time because I was going to a tech school. So it would save a lot of money for me if I just ate the meat that's there. Yeah, that wasn't smart, and I ended up I wasn't big back then either. Like I was probably 150 at most. I was a real skinny dude, but I ended up at that 130, and I woke up the one morning, and my legs just didn't work. Eventually, I ended up getting to the hospital, and they gave me a whole bunch of fluids and nutrients through an IV, and told me, like, you were starving to death. Like, what were you doing? And then told me how stupid I was for eating just venison for a couple months.
So what did you mean your legs didn't work? Like they were just really shaky under you, or they just straight up you couldn't get out of bed? Like
No, they just didn't work. Like I pushed myself out of bed. It felt weird, but like in a your legs are asleep kind of weird. Like
Okay.
as if I was going to go to stand up and just kind of like have trouble on them. But when I did go to stand up, I just fell. Like they did not support me. The muscles in my legs had just worn to the point where they couldn't support any weight, let alone my own. And at that point, it was, yeah, I have to go to the hospital now.
The concept of someone starving on a full stomach is
Right.
mind-blowing.
It's crazy. And I ended up doing research afterwards because I'm like, how is this? Apparently, a lot of people who like go off the grid end up, this happens to them because they just like hunt deer and rabbit. And they're like, I know how to wilderness survive and stuff. And then they just suddenly can't move. And they're like, what happened to me? And then
Oh,
they're found later and it's discovered that they had just been eating lean meat.
lack of fat. That's probably it, huh?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
gotta be.
that makes sense. Jeez. Yeah, because I'm like, I know people do carnivore diets and keto diets, so like, but yeah, that makes sense because they're usually eating at least more a variety of meats and things with fat in it. So, wow, interesting.
But it's scary because you don't like there's no indication. Like you're not hungry. You just stop working. And luckily I never got like I'm in civilized society, so I didn't get to the point where everything else stopped working too. But like
Yeah.
I especially legs being the first to go is terrifying. um like if
Yeah.
my arms were the first to go, it's like, well, that like I can handle this, like I can get somewhere and I can do stuff. But to be on the ground and to have to use my twig arms at the time to try to crawl across my house to get to my phone to try to call somebody, it's like, dude, am I making it? Like what is happening? Am I going to die?
How long were you in the hospital for?
Oh, only a day.
Okay.
Once I got the nutrients, I was able to walk again. I was on a diet to get all my nutrients back. But once they gave me all the nutrients, I was able to stand again. I was able to leave.
So when you left the hospital, you were a fully functional person again.
Yes.
Okay. And then how long did it take to get to a healthy weight?
Probably like another year, just
Okay.
because I had gotten so used to not being a healthy weight.
Sure.
But like even 160 is low for me, and I didn't end up getting into 160 until like 2 years ago. And then throughout the course of time, I ended up getting. Now I'm 180, and now my goal is 200. So I'm now more fit, more able bodied, more better at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. At what point did you start getting super interested into health and dive headfirst into that?
No, I met a friend at Bible study. His name's Nolan. He was a personal trainer, and he was talking to me the one day at Bible study, and I was talking to him about it, and realized that the stuff I had been doing just wasn't cutting it, and like there was a reason why I wasn't gaining any weight and why I wasn't doing anything. And so him being there and being like, "Here's what you need to do. We're gonna get you on a plan. We're gonna make stuff for you." And dude, he has been like a boon in my life. Like Nolan is like the point of change for health was Nolan.
Hmm.
Everything when it comes to helping me to get stronger, helping me to get a better diet, eat, make sure I'm eating the right stuff, all that kind of stuff. He taught me the vast majority of stuff that I know. And then the rest of it came from, oh, well, I want to read a book about health, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Or all of the stuff that I now know about infant health came from people at the Birth Rate of Pittsburgh, is an organization that deals, they help with abortion-minded women to choose life, and then afterwards to help them through the first couple years of life. And so I talked with some people from there, and they helped me to figure out like here's everything that you're going to need to do whenever you become a dad and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff health wise. And I'm like, yeah, I want to absorb everything now.
Have you always been that way? Just wanting to like
Oh,
learn as
absolutely
much
not.
as you can? No?
Not until I was 20. Until then, I was just like going through the motions of life. Like I barely remember anything before 20 because I just didn't do anything.
Hmm.
But after that point, the company especially was the point where it's like, hey, I need to actually start doing stuff. I need to start like making changes. I need to be a person instead of just a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first met you, like about a year ago, a little bit more, a little
Yeah,
bit, a year and
about
a
a year and a
half,
half.
year and a half. About a year and a half ago, you were a big motivation for me to start caring about my health and getting into shape again. And it took until, what was it, this February until I actually started working out again. But yeah, I guess the way that Nolan was the catalyst for you to get started, you were kind of the catalyst for me to at least care again.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a person that can help other people to get healthier and that can like build people up. I would love to be in a community where everybody cares about their health and where people are able to help each other through that kind of stuff. Because right now, virtually everything in the world is just very solitude focused and
Hmm.
very much a selfish focus. But I mean, I want to be that change. I want to make a difference.
Yeah. So I know you do a lot and focus a lot on physical health, including sleep, because that was something you were adamant about whenever I first met you too. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
you were real strict about your schedule. I don't know if you still are, but
yeah, I am. I was real strict with 10 to 6 every night because you not only need a good 8 hours of sleep every night, but you need consistent sleep. If your 8 hours is some days 10 to 6, some days 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you're not going to be in a good place. Now that I work until 9 o'clock at night, my schedule is now midnight to 8, but it's still consistent, still that 8 hours. It would be healthier if I did the 10 to 6 just because of circadian rhythm. I couldn't find the word, but yeah, it would be healthier because of circadian rhythm if I were to do 10 to 6. But instead, I can take a little hit in order to get a little bit of time to come home, to make myself something to eat, to get everything ready for the next day.
what do you typically eat? What's a normal meal for you?
Oh man. Well, I have a strange habit of drinking a gallon of chocolate milk a day. It's Fairlife chocolate milk, so it's lactose free and it doubles the protein and some good vitamins and stuff. But that's a big quirk of my diet is that milk. And then otherwise, as long as I count things and I try to make sure that I have a routine, I'm not worried about being perfect with eating the same thing every day and getting everything right.
Okay, but do you cook it most of your meals at home, or do you tend to go out more to eat? Like,
So I tend to get a lot of the kind of meals that I can like cook in an air fryer. Like I'll
okay,
eat chicken breasts, chicken patties, like stuff that I can just throw in an air fryer and make because I eat a lot of my meals at work since I work 10 to 11 hours a day.
do you eat vegetables?
I definitely eat more vegetables than I used to. A lot of stuff like the V8 drinks or making a smoothie that I'm putting something in there, stuff like that. That that I get it. I get the vegetables, but I'm not happy about it. If I had my opinion, like if I had my way and my body allowed it, it would be venison every day. But that's not the way it works.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's just weird to me because I actually really, personally, personal preference, I really enjoy vegetables. I love rice, beans, and all that mixed in with like a lean chicken or something and vegetables.
You got to make it right. And I'm
Yeah,
not good at making it.
yeah, yeah. That's true. You got to make it right because raw vegetables. There's a what is it, Jim Gaffigan joke. This is the time in the podcast where I'll insert a little clip of that here.
Interesting fact, before they came up with ranch dressing, no one had eaten a raw vegetable ever.
So let's move on to mental health. The next facet, I've been saying this in every podcast, I'm going to repeat it here. I think there's 3 facets of health: physical health, mental health, spiritual health. So, mental health. Are you as strong here as you are in physical health? Or would you say there's room for improvement?
I'd say there's a very similar path with mental health as there was with physical. Because with physical, I didn't really get serious about it until I had friends who were able to build me up and to bring me there. And the same deal with mental health. Like, again, I was a shut in, didn't do anything, just was a ghost all my life. And there was, again, the same Bible study that I went to. This Bible study was a boon for everything. But that same Bible study, there was a friend of mine who invited everybody to go out. Or, well, I guess she wasn't a friend at that point. But one of the other people at the Bible study invited everybody to go out dancing. And so I went with them because I'm like, I got to do something with my time. I was horrible. I didn't do anything, but it was like me and one other person who showed up. So we spent a lot of time like working on dancing. Mm-hmm. And then eventually her dance partner, they had scheduled like a 10-week course, broke her leg. And so she needed somebody else to fill in. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. And then Megan is her name. She was a boon to start mental health improvement. It was stuff like I was horrible. Like I didn't really interact with people, didn't want to do anything, but she worked with it and she's like, you said you wanted to dance, we're going to, and like would do all the things like, hey, we need to like actually dance and stuff like that. And I was always very much so like I don't want to touch people. People think I'm disgusting. I don't want to do that. But she worked with me on that and improved that so much. And like from the person that I was before I met all of the friends that changed my life to the person that I am now is a completely different person. Like I am just not that guy anymore. But mental health improvement, physical health was Nolan, mental was Megan, and probably spiritual is you and Alex.
That's great. So, yeah, I mean, community is important, right? It's important to have people around you who inspire you and motivate you to be a better person, which, I mean, you are for us. I'm glad we can be for you too. From the information you've given me in the past and things I've gathered over time, it sounds like you may not have had the best foundation of that earlier in your life. Is that right?
Yeah, I was pretty much just to myself for most of my life. I grew up with very much a sense of I don't want to bother people in like every facet of my life. And now I'm very much so a bother, to you especially. But yeah, so I grew up with that mindset of I'm a bother. I don't want to mess with people. I should be available if anybody needs me for something, but I shouldn't exist other than to help other people. And I mean, I mean, part of that's still in me. Like, I still have very much so the I want to help people mindset. And I do a lot better at like volunteer events than I do at social events because I have something that I can do. So it's like I'm making use of myself, stuff like that. So I guess not everything has left from back then, but it's focused in a much more positive way now.
Actually, I can very much relate to that. Even just yesterday, Alex and I were going to someone's 60th birthday party, and Alex couldn't go because she wasn't feeling well. So I ended up going on my own. It's fine. I'm friends with this person, friends with their family. But I get in there, and I'm like, my parents were supposed to be there. They weren't there. My brother didn't go. So I was like, okay, there's less people here that I know than I thought. So I go up to the birthday man's wife, and I'm like, hey, do you have a photographer? And she goes, no. And I said, well, I have a camera in my car. Do you want me to go? And she's like, yeah, absolutely, please. And I'm like, yes, now I have something to do while I'm there.
Right.
And it's kind of an excuse to like, I'm still there, but instead of retreating to a corner, if I don't feel like socializing with other people, I can just take out the camera and pretend that I'm a professional and I was hired to do this.
Yeah, for a while I was going down to Pittsburgh to spend time with people, and it was all like Catholic groups, so none of it was like the crazy stuff. But they would have parties and stuff like that, and they would be fun. But I would be there and I wouldn't be doing anything. So what I ended up doing is I took a couple weeks of a bartending class, and then every time I went to the party, I was like, "Hey, I can make drinks for you. Like I can be that guy," which was great because I just got to make drinks. And then people would talk to me because they're already there. So I wouldn't have to go out and be like, oh, well, I'm trying to talk to you about something. Please start a conversation. I'm just there and they're waiting on their drink while I make it. So it's natural to start a conversation.
Yeah. In the time I've known you, you've had some very high highs and some pretty low lows.
I am a very extreme person generally. And all my highs are pretty high. All my lows are pretty low. I also get tunnel vision a lot, which is very good for stuff like being able to work hard, being able to get things done, achieving things. Whenever I get into a relationship, super high highs, nothing will ever bring me down. As soon as a breakup happens, it's super low lows. Like everything's terrible. Like it's because of the fact that I get that tunnel vision, because whenever you're in a low and you have tunnel vision, you can only see that low.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's a little scary and sad whenever you're in those low lows. And I'm glad that you still come like hang out with us on those days, like to D&D or to Bible study. I don't know if you just don't even try to hide it, but you like walk through that door and it's like, oh, Brendan's not having a good day.
It's because I know with you guys I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because I mean everywhere else, like I'm still doing sales. Like I'm not allowed to be super low at sales, but like I know when I come to Bible study with you guys, it's like I can actually be not doing well. But I know it's sometimes kind of a lot. But I really do appreciate being able to have people in my life who I can be low with. I have my dance partner Megan told me that one day she because I kept canceling dances because of the fact that I was in a bad place at the time. Mm-hmm. She told me that one day she compared me to Eeyore. And she said that like you don't have to leave. Like even if you're the Eeyore of a friend group, we still want Eeyore around. And I'm like, okay. So it felt a little more comfortable to be able to be like, all right, I might not be doing well, but I can still be with my friends.
Yeah. And it can help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was talking to you about this the other day. When I get to when I'm trying to bulk right now to gain weight, and when I do that, like I just start focusing on gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. And the way that I get myself to really push myself is through like getting angry and hating where I'm at and all that kind of stuff. But then when I'm around my friends, you guys make me all very comfortable. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm not, I don't hate myself anymore. I can't keep gaining weight.
I think your exact wording to me was, I'm terrible and I need to get better. As in, like, when you're talking about when
I
you're
said
in your lows.
hate myself, but that's not, like, I don't hate myself. But I can look at myself and I have to be able to tell myself that how what I am now is terrible because that allows me to push myself to do so much. Like there was a month maybe where I didn't have a job, and like of course it's not a good place to be in. Like that is terrible. And so I was able to super push myself in order to get like actually now a pretty good job. But it's definitely a matter of like now that I am okay, in an okay place, I I don't have that ability to be like, yes, I'm terrible. So now it's difficult to push myself to truly be to achieve greatness because I can't look at where I am and say that it's terrible.
Yeah. There's another idiom that's not coming to mind, but it's like good is the enemy of great.
Oh, perfection is the enemy of good or something like that.
It might be the opposite.
I know, I'm pretty sure the idiom means like if you're always chasing perfection, you're never going to feel good enough.
Oh, interesting. I thought the idiom was about if you find that you're good, then you're not going to strive for greatness. Maybe we're thinking of different
Yeah,
idioms.
we're probably thinking of different idioms. They're probably similar ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have always disagreed with the perfection is the enemy of the good. Because I'm like, yeah, but I can be perfect. Like not a perfect person, but I can like achieve perfection. And that same thing with the one comparison is the thief of joy. Because I really like comparing myself to most people now. When it comes to most people, I can compare myself and I can be like, hey, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Like I can look at other people and I can be like, I'm in shape, I'm working hard, I'm doing all this stuff. And the vast majority of other people just aren't pushing themselves to the level that I am.
Yeah. It depends who you compare yourself to.
Yeah, if I go to like Gold's gym, I'm not going to be able to compare myself to anybody in there and feel good.
Do you find that comes naturally, though? Like that the comparison and the ability to compare yourself to the right people to stay motivated and feel good about yourself? Or do you find yourself comparing yourself to people that are too far out of reach?
I think at this point, most of the people who are above me are very supportive people. It takes a lot of effort in order to get really good at something. And once you've put in that effort, you're going to want to build other people up too, because you know what it took and you can see other people putting in the effort. And I think that's where a lot of like positives in my life come from is stuff like in business and stuff like that. People can see me working hard and putting in the effort and like trying to learn and stuff. And they'll be like, I want to help that guy out because he seems to be doing well. And like lots of times people who are better than me at stuff will be like, I can get you to this point too. And like I can help pull you up. Which is another saying that comes from my dad that I remember. It was make sure that all your friends are better than you at something. And that one's really good because it's like, yeah, everyone should be able to build each other up. And like,
Yeah.
I should also want to build up my friends, but in a different way.
Why do you think there's such a, dare I say, misconception from people who aren't good at things that the elites are always trying to keep them down?
It's because it's difficult to get there. Because the path that, like, if you are good at something, you know that it took a lot of effort to get there, and you know that it kind of sucks to do it. So you're going to tell people, like, here's how you do it. And to hear, like, it sounds impossible to be in a low place and to try to get to a high place. Even if somebody comes by and they tell you, here's the exact way to do it. Here's everything you need to do in order to make it work. Here's a timeline. Here's a plan, all of it. If you're not used to putting in that amount of effort, you're going to look at that plan and you're going to be like, that's impossible. Like, you didn't do this. Which, like, yeah, it does feel that way until you then end up doing it. And then you're like, oh, well, no, wait, this is actually, like, great for me.
I think there's a lot of crowd think and group mentality too. Like we've mentioned several times, you become like the people you surround yourself with. And if those people are inspiring you, then great. But if they're dragging you down and keeping you down and telling you that, things are unachievable or that, only the elites or the powerful or the rich can have certain things.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to keep you down. And then you have nothing else to do but to feel resentment for those for those very people in the high places.
And
But
we're
I
a
think,
very resentment-focused society right now, too.
yeah,
It's always like everyone who has more than you is bad. It's like pushed everywhere all the time. And all like Hollywood and stuff and just all of our entertainment. It's just always on us. Ex- even like self-improvement stuff. It's still kind of there. Especially I got on a huge self-improvement kick, right? I did everything I could. The dangerous stuff was the relationship stuff for self-improvement. Because a lot of the stuff surrounding relationship self-improvement for men is like everything's horrible and you just need to be horrible too. And it's like, of course that's not the case. But it's very easy to get sucked into that. And it's like, I don't know, if I didn't like have God as the center and like even if that were the answer, even if it was like, yeah, everything's horrible and you need to be horrible if you're ever going to be loved, like these people say, I'd still say no. Like, I'd still be like, all right, then I guess I'm not. But because God's there and because I have friends who are in very healthy, happy relationships, like I can see that and I can be like, yeah, you're wrong. And then a lot of that like relationship self-improvement stuff immediately, like you can see through it. But a lot of time people who don't have the proof that it's not right will fall into that kind of stuff. And I think that's along the lines of where people fall into the everyone who has more than me is trying to keep me down mentality because of the fact that there's all that stuff out there and they don't see anyone around them who's working hard and getting rewarded for it.
this might get a little dark and more into the gritty territory, but that's fine. You said, you mentioned in that whole monologue about it being, about being a terrible person. Like, the situation's terrible, so you have to be terrible. Or something along those lines. What does that mean?
The world's terrible, you have to be terrible mentality is really easy to fall into, and it's what I mean behind that is very much so the idea of like everybody around me, I can still see people doing bad things and getting rewarded for it. And I'm trying to be a good person, but I'm not getting rewarded for it. So I must just need to be a bad person. But again, like that's a lot of like the good around like having God in your life and stuff like that, because you know that, yeah, even if I'm not getting rewarded for it now, like inevitably, like when I go to heaven, like it's not, I mean, I'm not going to get rewarded more than anybody else, but I'm going to get to be with God. And that's the end point. But without that, I'm sure it's very easy to look at other people doing bad things because they're able to get away with it, and to see them and be like, oh, the bad things must be what's getting them there. And I think in relationships, it's especially easy to see that kind of stuff because the people who are doing it right aren't in the dating pool.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to go like all women are terrible or all men are terrible if you're a woman, because all of the people who have healthy, proper relationships found healthy, proper relationships, and they're not really there anymore. So all the people who are left, especially into your 20s, or can't even imagine how bad it gets into your 30s, but like all the people who are left are all people who are like, who are dating around all the time and are taking advantage of people, stuff like that. So it's very easy to just look at it and be like, well, these guys who are taking advantage and they're manipulating and stuff like that, they're getting all of these relationships, they're having all this success. And it's like, well, their success is one night stands and like toxic relationships that are going to end in a couple months, stuff like that, with women that you aren't even going to want to be with anyway. And it's like, yeah, it's just because that's the way those kinds of people work. Those kinds of people are the ones who are always in and out of relationships. That's why you see that so much. The people who are doing well got married and they're doing well. They aren't in the dating pool, so you don't see all the success.
You know, I'm going to be honest. It sounds like actually a lot of work for not very much payoff. Like, even putting a Christian perspective aside, sure, plenty of short-term payoffs and spikes, but there's not like a long, stable, oh, my life is actually getting better long-term.
It's because people have learned now that delayed gratification isn't worth it. And because stuff like a one-night stand or a spat in a relationship, stuff like that, the exciting stuff, is all like it's instant gratification. It's right there. But a good, healthy relationship isn't that instant gratification. It's work and it's trying to make it happen and all that kind of stuff. And I'm saying this as a guy who's single, but that's like the reason why I haven't gone insane is because I can look at it and be like, yeah, the reason why all these people are dating around is because they're not having healthy relationships. And the reason, like, yes, that's everywhere, but there's a smaller subset that isn't like that. And all of the people who are in healthy relationships are in healthy relationships. That's why I'm not seeing them.
So we've glanced over spiritual life, and you've brought up God several times. Mm-hmm. At what point in your life did spiritual life start to matter?
Probably around the point that I really started to build the company, like around the point that I started to take over the management aspect. I was like starting to be more of a person, more of a developed person and not just a blank slate. And because of that, I was able to try to see, like, what do I actually believe? Like, what do I think? Because my parents were Protestants. So I'd grown up somewhat in that area, but it was like a very social club kind of Protestantism. So I had grown up and I knew the Our Father prayer, stuff like that, but I didn't really understand anything. Then when I got back into trying to like find religion, I went to a couple of different places. I went to a couple of Protestant churches. I actually talked to some Mormons for a little while until I actually learned a little bit more about what they believe. And I'm like, never mind. But went around and just tried a whole bunch of different things and ended up finding a community, like some people who had welcomed me into their Bible study, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that's how I met Megan and Nolan and Kevin as well. Kevin's another friend from the Bible study. But then that's where I met a friend who's named Hannah, who is Catholic. And she goes to the Protestant Bible study because there's not a lot of Catholic outreach in our area. Mm-hmm. She invited me to church, and something clicked walking into a Catholic church, having that reverence for the cross, for everything that we do, for having that kind of, everything's particular. Like you have respect for the priests and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, this feels right. Like something's different about this, and I like it. I like that everything's not so casual, that we take all of it seriously. Then after about a year, I went through RCIA and became a real Catholic. And now it's like everything that I do, I want to, like any volunteer work that I do, any time that I spend with my friends, stuff like that. Like I just want everything to be toward what God wants. I want him to be the sole focus on everything.
Yeah. We've had some interesting conversations, especially around like morals and ethics and the trolley problem and, right. Hiding refugees from soldiers, things like that. And we've had some really interesting and fascinating conversations on those. So we talked a long time ago about like in the time of Nazi Germany, you're harboring Jews, keeping them hidden from Nazi soldiers. A soldier comes knocking on your door, asks if you've seen any Jews or are harboring any Jews. What do you do? One of the 10 Commandments tell us, you shall not bear false witness. Mm-hmm. But to give up information could also lead to the death of people. So what do you do?
That's one of those things where in my mindset, I'm like, whatever the consequences of my actions, I'm okay with them, and I'm going to do what I believe is right. And if the consequences are I get up to heaven and God's like, you shouldn't have done that, then I'm like, all right, I shouldn't have done it then. But like, I'm going to take the consequences of it, like spend more years in purgatory or whatever, because I did what I believed was right.
I think that's a fair answer. I doubt we have very many moral philosophers watching this show.
Right.
But it would be interesting to get some perspective from some moral philosophers, or just other people's opinions. Like,
make sure to comment below. It helps with the algorithm, and like and subscribe while you're down there.
You're going to be the first person and the first time anyone has ever asked for a call to action inside the podcast.
Oh, nice.
I don't even do that.
You'll just have my sound bite at the end of every video.
So with all the self-help and self-improvement journey that you've been on, are there any books, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos, things like that you would like actually recommend? Like things you were like,
Oh
this
man,
was
you actually have one
genuinely
right down
good.
here. The Atomic Habits book. That one's a really good one.
That's a banger.
Also one that was recommended to me, and I immediately thought, like, this is going to be stupid. I believe it was called Unfuck Yourself.
I've heard of it.
And like as I started to read it and or started to listen to it, I guess, on Audible, and I was like, this is just going to be some kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to say all of the basic things, but I'm going to say them with swear words so that people buy the book more. But it was actually like a good read. It was pretty much like the whole book was around the idea of being a very polarizing person. Like you don't be somebody that everybody kind of likes because nobody's going to really love you. Not like love in the relationship sense, but love in like the way that I love my friends.
Yeah.
And like I want to spend all my time, I want to spend time around the people that I really care about because I really care about them. But if you're just kind of somebody who's there and kind of nice and not really anything sticks out about you, then you're just kind of a blank slate, like I was when I was 20. And if you're just kind of a blank slate, you're not really going to catch anybody and really start to form those kinds of really good relationships. The people who really like me want to spend time with me. And the people who really don't like me, I barely see them because I don't want to be around me. So it ends up in a point where everybody that I interact with seems to really like me because everybody who doesn't keeps a
Avoids you.
distance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. So, yeah, I can second Atomic Habits. Very good book. Haven't read the other one. Any other books? Like I said, books, podcasts.
So it's not really a self-help podcast, but there's a guy who makes a podcast. His name is Matt Walsh. His show is called The Matt Walsh Show. It's more of a political thing, but just he gives a lot of very good, very solid, like just thoughts on being a man. And that helped out a lot. Just the idea of having someone who was so, like, he's a Catholic man who has a big family and he's like, it's kind of like the picture of the man that I want to end up being. And I'm like, okay, well, and that guy is actively telling young men, like, this is the way you ought to be. And like, that just made me go like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing then. Of course, he also said to learn how to fish, and I don't like fishing. But other than that,
Any advice you have from just learning your life, things that you've learned the hard way that you're like, hey, this is something to whoever might be listening. I went through this so you don't have to. Or I did this and it worked really well and you should try it too.
all right, so this is a weird one, but improv classes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they are great. If you're like a shy person, if you have difficulty like reaching out to people, like being very friendly, improv classes put you in the worst possible position for being a shy person. And they are fantastic. I mean, never actually perform improv because you're not going to want to do that. But the classes are great. If you really want to push yourself, maybe perform it. But I didn't do that. And I ended up pretty well.
Anything you want to bring up or say before we call it a day?
Oh, one more of the piece of advice thing, stuff to do. It's difficult to ask people who you feel like aren't going to have time for you in order to help you. But man, it's the only way to really get better is to have people who support you. And no one's really going to judge you for asking for that help. They're at worst going to tell you that they don't have time. And that's what you expected anyway. So
Yeah, I think that's great advice. All right, well, I think we had some awesome conversation today. I look forward to our next one. It'd be interesting if I could time the next one so that like you're not quite as high up a peak. To see how your perspectives change.
Oh yeah, because I was. Oof. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I'd want to be on camera during a valley, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Either way, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hope to have you again soon.
Fantastic.